Hi everyone, my name is Tejas and I recently wrote the GMAT focus when I got a SUN 15, which is a 99.2 percentile. This is my story and video debrief. Beginning with my background, I come from a legal background, so I've graduated with a BA LLB honors degree. Prior to that, in my 11th and 12th in high school, I had taken physics, chemistry, maths, computer science, and English, which I think gave me a solid foundation to begin my GMAT preparation on. As for my GMAT preparation, I began around a month prior to me writing the examination. And in the initial few days when I had taken a mock, I had scored a 675. And in the actual official GMAT focus examination a month later, I was fortunate enough to score a 715. Prior to me taking the target test prep program, I had very limited exposure to the type of questions that come on the GMAT. Of course, I had a broad idea and I was helping friends prepare for other standardized tests such as the LSATs. And so certain questions that do overlap between the two, such as strength and weaken, assumptions, and so on, I did have some degree of exposure prior to my preparation, but a large majority of my preparation began when I took the target test prep program in that month. After speaking to a lot of friends and seniors, quite a lot of them recommended target test prep quite highly, and so I went to their website and I reviewed the different plans they offer, and in particular the 1 month's flexible study program kind of appealed to me because it enabled me to really self-pace, which was a big factor for me. I think it's very important to be able to say that, hey, I have more energy today, and so I'm going to be able to take up more chapters and have that flexibility to do so, but also say, hey, okay, today is a hectic or a busy day and I might not be able to devote as much time to preparation as I like. So I think the flexibility that the program offers was a big selling point to me. And so I did end up taking it and I engaged Target Test Prep's program for 1 month. As for the program itself, I think it's very clear that it's very well thought out and very well structured, and I think that's quite evident in the way that they provide the assistance. So you have each lesson, you have chapter tests, you have quant reviews, you have verbal reviews, and so on. And so I think it's very clear that it's quite well thought out and it's quite well and they're very mindful of what a person preparing for the GMAT would potentially need and look at. Now, one thing I particularly liked was the fact that a lot of places in the lessons, they didn't stop at telling you what you needed to know, but they also took the extra step to say, this is why we think that the test makers put these type of questions in, that they're not necessarily looking for this, they might be just looking at how you approach this question. And I think providing that additional context really helps put things in perspective and was very helpful for me in approaching the more difficult questions, because it kind of enabled me to stop at certain points and say, okay, this is going a little bit too far. Maybe this is not the correct approach to this type of question, because a test maker would never look to test this type of skill here. And that really encouraged me to find ways of my own to solve different questions. In addition to that, I think Target Test Prep, to their credit, do a great job in giving you exposure to a wide variety of questions. I think between the questions that show up within your lessons and the end of chapter reviews and the dedicated quant and verbal reviews, I think there's a lot of questions that you get exposure to, which is great because not only does it help you better assess your time management, because you can figure out, okay, these type of questions, I should be broadly taking this much amount of time and so on, but also just the exposure to number of questions allows you to develop different strategies and kind of hone in on what strategy you should use for what type of questions. So 2 questions on fractions might seem very similar, but they might require different types of approaches to solve them in a more efficient manner. And I think that's something you only get when you have exposure to many different types of questions, which I think, to their credit, Target Test Prep does a great job in. So that was broadly my journey. I think Target Test Prep's material was very well thought out and very structured, which provided me a direction to head in. I think the number of questions they gave exposure to, as well as the lessons themselves going beyond just providing a formula beyond just, oh, this is what you should be expecting from the exam, I think was quite helpful in my journey, and was quite helpful in particularly handling the more difficult questions that came upon the exam. So that is about it for my video debrief, and yeah, thank you.